fill your thirst beside the river. Wash the journey from your hands. Feel the comfort flow inside you. Come this far, you understand.
Hi, welcome to Healing Outside the Box. This is our 126th show. And my name is Rosemary Lachance, and I'm an energy healer and a spiritual therapist.
And I'm Lisa Burton, and I'm a heart-centered lifestyle coach.
And we are the co-hosts for this thought-provoking series and are dedicated to providing you with food for thought information and answers to all modalities of alternative healing, spiritual development, animal welfare, environmental concerns, and so much more in the form of guest speakers who are experts in their field. If you know of any subjects you would like us to discuss, or if you know of anyone who you think would make an interesting guest, please just let us know. And please like us on Facebook under Healing Outside the Box, where you can learn about and see pictures of some of our past guests and ask questions or leave a comment. Enjoy the show.
Thank you. Well, we're very delighted tonight to have Laurie Friedler with us. Laurie, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
You're welcome.
Laurie is a Peruvian shamanic arts practitioner, and tonight we're going to have the topic of our show being about shamanic healings. I'll give you a little bit of background about Laurie, and then all of her contact information will be available at the end of the show. Laurie is a bilingual healer, a Peruvian shamanic arts practitioner, and a ceremonialist living in Madison, Connecticut. She's a native of Puerto Rico, and she came to the United States in 1976 to pursue a postgraduate education in psychology. She has worked as an outpatient guidance counselor at the Yale University Department of Psychiatry and the Drug Dependency Unit, offering evaluations, crisis intervention, psychological testing, and counseling services for individuals, groups, and families. After an accident in 1999, Laurie began to study energy medicine at the Barbara Brennan School of Healing Sciences, and she graduated there in 2005. Her Hispanic roots gave her the opportunity to immerse herself in the ancient shamanic teachings of the wisdom keepers from Peru and receive high levels of initiations from them. Through the years, she has deepened her personal and professional relationship with the indigenous Q'ero. Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Q'ero, from the highlands of Peru. One of Laurie's passions is to combine her love of indigenous cultures, travel, and the involvement of consciousness in the planet. Towards that end, she has been leading trips to sacred sites for small, intimate groups of people who are interested in evolving consciousness. In her words, that the magic of sacred places is that they generously offer the opportunity for an awakening experience to anyone who listens. That's beautiful. Very nice. So we always like to ask people what drew them to this line of work, and how is it that you got started becoming a shamanic arts practitioner?
Well, it all started in November of 1999 when I was just being a mom attending a football game in Madison. And I was asked to hold a 10-yard line chain in a football game. Something I knew nothing about, and I was just trampled and got hurt.
No.
Yes, I was hurt very bad. And my shamanic experience began at that time. The first thing that happened was that I must have gone unconscious for a few moments. And when I came back, I realized that I had a severely broken leg. And and I also felt the presence of an angelic being. Something that it was a whole new world. It was a whole new experience for me, really. So as I lay there in the cold grass, I just very aware of everything that was happening in somewhat of a detached way.
So almost out of body
Almost
experience?
a little bit out of body, in and out. And in the ambulance ride on my way to Yale New Haven Hospital, I was asked why I was so calm. And I told the EMT that, don't you see this guide, this angel that it's next to me? He's telling me that everything is going to be okay. So that was my first.
And he didn't see this angel
No,
with
he
you.
went quiet when I said that.
Sure, lady, right?
Now there's
Yeah.
2 evals you're going to have when you
Yes.
get to the hospital.
Exactly. Yeah. But what I received at that moment was this connection with a realm that I just didn't know anything about. And it was communicating with me the same way that like a loving voice telling me you're going to be okay, stay in the moment. I'm going to stay with you for a long time. And I believe it said to me 3 to 4 months. Of course, that was out of my life experience. I had never had anything like that happen to me. So I learned to live with that. I didn't talk to anyone about it. And years later, I realized that it was my first encounter with the shamanic realm.
Okay. Wonderful.
Thank you.
So who is a healer?
We are all healers. Healers are people that are caring, that are loving, that are sensitive, people that like to connect with other people. We all have the capacity to heal. The classic example is the mother who picks up her child to soothe the child when he or she has been hurt. That is a healer. In that moment, that person is showing care for this little being. It could be anyone, but it's her child, and she will do whatever she needs to do to help the child through this experience. Beyond that, a healer is someone who seeks to heal herself or others in the community. And there's some important traits that are required once you go into a healership, to really honor the other person, to create a safe environment, that it's safe and grounded, so the person can grow and move forward in some way. So those are some examples of
Healers.
healers.
And are there certain benefits that people receive after they've worked with somebody
Yes.
and had a healing? Is it one session, or are there several sessions that people come for? Or how does that work?
Usually people come for a series of sessions. And the benefits of healings are really felt at multiple layers of our being. If we were to think of ourselves like a set of Russian dolls, one inside the other, we have layers. We have our physical body, we have our emotional, our spiritual, our mental. So there are all these aspects of ourselves, and there are benefits that occur at every level. On the physical level, obviously, the person who receives a healing will feel balanced and recharged. At the emotional level, they will feel a release of tension and stress. Emotionally, the person may feel more clear, more focused, better able to communicate with other people. In the I-thou relationship, they may feel more connected to others. And spiritually, they may feel more of a connection with Source. So the healings have effects throughout. The more a person receives healings, the more they are able to then move forward into connection with the greater web of life.
I see.
With the animal kingdom, with the plant kingdom, and with the environment and things that are happening around them. That is the lasting legacy of multiple healings.
I see.
Is shamanic healing, how does it differ from, say, Reiki healing or other kinds of energy healing? Is it different from them, or same principle?
I think that the fundamentals of energy medicine are very important because they speak of a universal energy field and a human energy field, what is commonly known as the aura. And when you do a healing, you're working with the human energy field. In shamanistic healings, my personal experience is that the shaman is actually mediating between the greater forces of nature in discourse with them to bring them in as allies to help facilitate a healing for the person. Mm-hmm. So that is, I would say that is a little bit of a difference between the two. Mm-hmm. And yet, in traditional Western energy medicine, we are also working with other energies, mainly the spirit guides that come in when you invoke them. When you bring in a client into your room, you're asking for their guides to come in, their higher self, and any allies that person might have to assist in the healing. So there is that element of it, but I find shamanistic healings a little different. It's a different energy.
Mm-hmm. It's a different energy?
I would say so, yes.
Can you elaborate?
I find the shamanistic healings to be...
well, you're taking your teachings from the Peruvian people, correct?
Right.
So I would think that in itself has something special about it.
It has something special,
different.
Yeah. Oftentimes you hear about the male shaman, mm-hmm. you know, and there's a lot of bravado, and they're just out there, you know, the curanderos of northern Peru, for example. These mm-hmm. are, you know, they do battle with the forces of nature. Mm-hmm. in order to bring some form of alignment or whatever. So there is this propensity to think of it as very masculine, commanding type of energy. Mm-hmm. In reality, the shamanistic path is one of balance. It's the balance, it's almost like a braid of male and female and light and darkness, and bringing in both the commanding side and the surrendering side. The shaman's path is in the middle, and you may have to go to the side a little bit in certain instances, or to the right, but it's more... I think it's more dramatic, in my experience. Mm-hmm. It's a different feel than doing a Brennan healing, where mm-hmm. you are you're still working the energies, but the Brennan work in the Western tradition feels more feminine mm-hmm. to mm-hmm. me and my experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Maybe for some of our viewers who aren't so familiar with just general energy healing in and of itself, mm-hmm. could you elaborate a little bit on that from a general standpoint?
Yes.
And why would somebody seek out an energy healer versus, say, their chiropractor or something? Mm-hmm. And who would be a good candidate to come to an energy healer?
Yeah. A good candidate for energy healing is somebody who is open, mm-hmm. and someone who is really willing to experiment with things out of the box.
Okay.
Here we go. Apropos.
Yeah. They're also people that are sensitive and that have a longing or a quest to find something else in their life. Sometimes the people that come for energy healings are people who have exhausted other
More
options.
traditional ways.
Yeah. And they just need another perspective. They need someone to walk part of their life journey with them. So those
Are
are
there
some of
physical ailments they're trying to seek pain from, or is it more social, emotional things that
Both.
they're challenged with? Okay.
both. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we do know that stress, for one,
Yeah.
manifests itself physically for us.
Oh yeah.
So, stress can come from a lot of places.
Absolutely. From the energy perspective, we talked about the universal energy field, that everything is energy and it's all around us, and that there's a human energy field. And so the human energy field is our mind-body connection. It is the vehicle of our psychosomatic emotions, let's call it that. So anything that happens in the physical body happens in the energy field first. And examples of that are, for example, you're sitting in here and you're thinking of someone and the phone rings and it's that person. Or for some reason on a particular day you have a need to wear the color purple. So that is a color, a vibration, a frequency that somehow you need that particular day. So those are some of the examples of how it is that our energy field comes first. Now, in basic terms, a healer will work with the energies of the human energy field and the universal energy field to create balance and recharge someone. And the chakras, for example, is one of the venues. So here we have these vortexes of energy, and they help metabolize energy into our body. I don't know if you can see them.
Can we go smaller on that to see it or not?
Oh, there we
There,
go.
that's
we
good.
go. So we have chakras in the front of the body, we have them in the back, and we have obviously the crown chakra on top. And we have a central vertical power current, which is our spine. And we're taking energy from the outside, which we're utilizing to keep wellness and life in movement. That's what the chakras do. Now, some of those energies may be not working right. So at that point, the person would have a blockage of some sort. And there's many reasons why that happens. Most of the time, they are due to belief systems that people have or the reaction that they have to a stressful situation that may present in life. And these are some of the blockages. This is all from the Barbara Brennan book, just to make sure I give credit where credit is due. Okay.
And she was one of the forerunners with energy medicine?
Hold it out that way a
Yes.
little
Is
bit.
that correct?
There you
Yes.
go.
Yeah.
That's where the blockages can occur. Okay.
These are blockages, and these are some of them. These are just some very basic ones. This one in here, for example, the blah block, that is very much a person who is depressed.
Which one? The first one? The
The
second
first one, this one in here.
In the
yeah.
stomach area, in the neck. Yeah.
Right. If you see there is energy leaking from the heart, there is this heaviness in the back. The person's front chakras are sort of blocked, and that's somebody, that's a classic depressed person who would experience that type of blockage. So all those chakras are not working correctly. Either the energy is projecting from the inside out. They are not taking enough energy to keep movement going and to keep health flowing and wellness.
So these are blockages that you pick up as you're working with the client?
Yes, when a person comes in, you do an initial assessment, and in that assessment, as a healer, you're observing the person physically. You're listening to the presenting complaint. You're asking questions about what medical conditions that person is bringing in. So someone like that would have feelings of they may have morbid thoughts, anxiety or angina, feeling distraught. It could be an event, it could be a life pattern that person has. The second one, the compaction, is the person who might suffer from things like pelvic inflammatory disease or sexuality issues. That oftentimes comes in from people who have been sexually humiliated, either by parents or, in the dating scene, and then so on and so forth. This one in here is classic of the person who outwardly has everything, and everything seems to be perfect, but inwardly they're feeling that there's something missing. So that's that. This in here is the classic male. The plate armor is the classic male that comes in with a lot of stress about work, and you feel the energy blocks in the back where he's carrying too much. The heart is tired. Energy depletion. I don't see a lot of that, but I see it out in the mall. You see a lot of people who have difficulty walking, or these are people who have difficulty standing on their own 2 feet. So all of these are different kinds of blockages that impact a person, and there are emotional aspects and belief systems attached to them. So that is part of the healing process, is to gently go over those belief systems and help the person release the judgment and come to a place of acceptance and surrender. Yeah.
Okay.
So it sounds like you're working, if I'm understanding it right, you're working with the physical body of the person to physically shift the blockage, yes?
Right.
And then also consciously with them to get them to shift their belief system.
Right. The Brennan model is integrative and holistic. So, you look at the person as a person with all of these components to them. The physical, the emotional, the spiritual, the mental. And, and so you're going to spend some time working, listening to what the person has to say, helping the person gain some insight as to what they want to change. Also, help the person set the intention in order to be able to move forward. And then energetically, you are supporting that work. You're doing chelations, you're working the chakras.
What's a chelation? I'm not familiar with that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Chelation is an energy. It's an energy treatment. Let's call it that. That helps balance the energy flow in the body. So if somebody has headaches, for example, I may work on their feet to help bring energy back down, to release the energy that it's in the head.
Okay.
So that's a chelation. It's balancing and creating harmony so that the body feels at rest and peace.
Okay. Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
A new word for me.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you who's a good candidate for healing, but almost everyone is a good candidate for healing, right? I mean, is there anybody any more than others that you think would be a good candidate for healing?
There are particular conditions, people who come in with multiple sclerosis, or people who come in with Lyme's disease, that in my experience, it's not that they are not good candidates, it's that, it would require a lot of research on how to go about tackling that situation. I haven't had enough of those conditions in my private practice to be able to speak. But other than that, I would say that it works great for people with any kind of emotional condition, even physical conditions, fibromyalgia, any of that, people that are going for cancer or who have had cancer or that have chemotherapy in their body. Energy works really well for that.
Have you been to Peru? Have you studied with them?
Many times.
Yeah? Can you tell us a little bit about what it's like there and how they are there and so forth?
Yes.
Okay.
I have been to Peru about 10, 12 times. I try to go every year. And I work with the Q'ero, indigenous, these are the traditional shamans and ceremonialists, the mystical priests of the ancient Incas. And they are very interesting people. They seem a little, when you first meet them, they seem a little removed. And then as you get to know them, they warm up. There is this, they don't carry a lot of heavy emotions with them. They process things very quickly. They don't talk a lot. They have energy connections with people and with things.
So it's more telepathy that they're using, or
I would say, I would say that they have developed telepathy.
And I find that people like that don't need to talk a lot.
They don't need to talk a lot.
No.
Right.
I've seen that before. I've heard that. I've read that. We talk a lot because we're just talkers. But people who are involved a little bit more don't have to feel the need to discuss. Chatter.
My teacher, Don Mariano Quispe Flores, who by the way is going to be here in Connecticut in November doing healings and teachings, has evolved in that respect. Now I notice that when Westerners are around him, he understands that they are more mental, that they want more words.
Yes.
They want to talk about things. With them, there is a problem, say, in the community, and they talk about it, they say it, and then, that's it. We don't need to talk about this anymore. The time has passed, and now we're just going to get on with life.
Oh, I love that.
They don't get stuck.
Yeah.
They don't get stuck in those things. I sometimes, now that I know him so well, I can tell that it's almost like sometimes it's a little puzzling to them, the way that we go about creating so much drama in our lives.
Sure, yeah.
So then when you go and you sit with them to do a healing, it starts with what it's called pichar la coca, which is they chew coca leaves. And that's like almost like you getting together with your neighbor to have tea and a croissant. They sit and they just don't seem to be talking about much of anything, and then all of a sudden the energies come in and they are ready to start ceremony. And then you can tell, being in their presence, even if you haven't been exposed, that there is an energy shift, and they seize the moment, and then they move on to the next level smoothly, without looking back or looking too far ahead, staying in the moment. So that's what it's like to be with them.
Okay, that sounds great. Yeah, you brought a lot of things here, and I think it would be a good time to try and explain it to our audience. We'll get the camera on them and tell us everything about this, whatever you want to do here. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, if you find it too far, just point and I'll try to pick it up.
Okay.
That's nice.
Well, there's a lot in here.
I know.
A lot more than meets the eye.
And this, when you set it up, you told us it was an altar, yes?
Yes. In the middle we have a shamanic altar, and that altar is a little altar that I created to set the energies for our meeting today. Once you are a ceremonialist, you tend to look at life ceremonially. So whenever you're doing something, it's important to set your intention. And this intention, the intention that it's in the middle altar is I'm asking Hummingbird, the messenger of God, represented in this...
the first one there?
The sphere.
A sphere,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm asking Hummingbird to bring in as above, so below. So I'm asking to bring the template of goodness that exists in the heavens. I'm asking it to engage that energy and to bring it through the heart. And
The heart is in the middle.
The heart is in the middle.
The pink, yeah.
This is the story. This is the story in this altar. And then I'm having the llama, the animal of servitude, and that's all of us. You are in service, and you and I.
Is he here?
The llama is here.
Oh, right there, okay.
That little, yeah. So that's the animal kingdom. I'm bringing them into our sphere. And then the last crystal is a crystal that has been infused with the intention of relaying the message.
That's the one standing up, or the...
This one.
Oh, okay,
The
I
one.
see it. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It almost looks, a seke is a center point from where many roads emanate, and that piece to me represent bringing out into the world certain things.
Yeah.
Okay. Then in the cardinal directions, I have Mother Earth, and to me, that particular stone, and each stone has a cuenta or a story. So this one is Pachamama. To me, it's the Mother Earth.
With the heart on top?
Yes.
Okay.
Both stones.
That's in the background, yeah.
Both stones come from Peru. And to me, Pachamama is this female principle, and the heart is a crystal that magnifies her power or her presence. She's a great support to all of us. I mean, in the Western tradition, she represents, I would say she represents a lot of things, but one of them is the ground, the first chakra, the place of trust, of love. So we have Pachamama. In here, I brought the shell representing an ocean of consciousness, and I put a little bit of water for the element of
Where
water.
the flower is? Yeah. Yeah, there you go. And you can point to it. You're good, yeah.
The flowers represent the plant kingdom, and the plant kingdom is very wise. A lot of our medicines and remedies and the ways that people from tribal communities have survived is through their knowledge of the plants and herbs. So when we connect to that, it's a beautiful, it's a feminine energy. It's really beautiful. The one on top represents the apus.
With the point on
With the point on top, if you look at that crystal,
Yes.
it has many mountains inside. And in the Peruvian cosmology, it's all about dualities. So we have Pachamama, and then we have the Apu. So it's the energy of the mountains, the grounding presence of this omnipotent figure, if you want to call it that. And then the softness of the mother. So they are complementary in many ways, and they offer a different type of support in our healing. On that side, I have that represents the ancestors. The ancestors are very important because they gift us their legacy and their knowledge. And then in here, I have this beautiful kuya. A kuya is a sacred stone. That one was a gift from...
Point to that again. Point to it again.
This one?
Okay.
Yep. That is a beautiful kuya that was gifted to me by Pachamama, my Mother Earth, on one of my trips to Peru. I was in the Temple of the Moon, and I tripped over it. So it came home, and now it's a repository of energies. So that is the altar. This in here...
Can I just ask?
Sure.
So, all of the thought and the intention and the love that went into creating something like this, is this something that you would teach one of your clients to do for themselves? Or,
yes.
So this is part of the healing?
Sometimes it is.
Good question.
That's an excellent question, Lisa. I think that an altar, it doesn't have to be like that one. Each occasion, each ceremony has a particular energy, a message that you bring forth. And the prayer underneath is the intention that you blow into it to have it blossom. Clients, I oftentimes encourage them to have a space in their room, in their house, somewhere where they can put things that are close to their heart.
Right.
And it's a place to sit and breathe.
Where you can meditate and everything. I have one of my own. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm just
wonderful.
thinking if
lots of animals and feathers, bird.
You started your day like this and went off to work, even with one stone and one intention. Wow.
Yeah.
What a different type of day it would be.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And it's a way, you don't need to spend a lot of time. You know, when I was leaving to come here, I have a very big altar in my house. I went into the altar to say, I'm going, what do you want me to say? And I stood in there, and I was just sharing with my husband that in that moment, there was this wave of love and gratitude that came to me and said, speak of the love that it's held in here, you know? And that's for every person. Create space for yourself and take a few moments every day. Take a few deep breaths. That is a healing. The breath is life. It brings movement into your body. And take a few moments and breathe. Check in with yourself. What's happening in here now? Is there a place where my breath is stuck? Touch that part. What do you need? You know, just reconnect. And that's one of the most beautiful functions of an altar for every person. And I have helped many people set up their own. And I just can't imagine not having an altar.
A real opportunity to stay connected.
Yes.
What is that over there near you?
This is a healing altar. These are used to heal. I have, clients, and sometimes I start a healing, just a regular chelation type of basic healing, and it turns into a shamanistic healing. And I use stones.
Okay. So that's a different type of altar from the one in the middle then.
It's a different altar.
Yeah.
This is a working altar.
Okay.
Yeah. So the stones known in Quechua, the language of the Q'ero, are called cuyas, or sacred stones. And those are stones that come to you, to anyone, in serendipitous sorts of way.
Yeah, right. You just find them, yeah.
They find you.
They find you, right, exactly.
They find you. So This one in here, for example, comes from Las Huaringas in northern Peru, a place of big shamans, a place that it's really hard to get to. And I was fortunate enough to work with a shaman, Don Juan Tripul was his name many years ago. And while being in La Laguna Negra, this kuya appeared for me. And this kuya, to me, reminds me of a Highlander that carries in the back their herbs and their medicine. So
Hold it up by yeah, I think they can see that.
So
yeah,
this is a kuya. And this kuya has been consecrated, and it works on the upper chakras in a healing for someone. This one comes from the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt. And I was standing outside in total despair because I felt claustrophobic and I couldn't walk in. And all of a sudden I heard this hum, this om. And I looked down and there was this kuya. And this kuya, I use it in the heart to bring peace to people. So it gets used as a healing tool in that capacity. And of course you use it time after time. And the infusion of intention into a kuya, it's a process where you connect and you form a relationship with the stone. And there are memories because it is energy. It's just that it's vibrating at a different frequency.
This summer, my son and I were in New Hampshire, and he had been inspired through a school project to learn about gold panning in the rivers.
Oh, yes. Okay. Oh, yeah.
So we spent a lot of time poking around in the rivers, and I think I came back with about 30 rocks. I was just really drawn to the rocks. And I have some stacked on my doorstep now. There are a lot of really flat ones, which was unusual for our ocean. I don't see a lot of flat rocks here, but in the river they were all flat, so they're all stacked on the doorstep. And then we put some in the garden. And I think people thought I was crazy because I was walking up the riverbank time and time again, but I felt like I needed these rocks to come with me.
Yeah.
It was really interesting.
So they wanted to come with you.
I guess, yeah. I guess they wanted to take a trip.
So somehow that particular place that you went to had an energy that activated something in you. Now, all places are sacred, but there are some places that tend to attract pilgrims. And there are vortexes of energy in those places that so people do spiritual pilgrimages to them. So obviously the energy of this place was very healing to you.
Speaking to me, yeah.
It was speaking to you.
Yeah. Cool.
So it would be good, for example, for you to connect about what was it about that place that was so healing for me. You know, the water.
It's very serene, it was quiet, peaceful.
Right.
Yeah.
And the stones hold that vibration.
Okay.
Yep.
That's why I wanted them, I guess.
Yes. And
So,
what else?
so then there's other stones. Another one from Hamanasset, which is down the road from my house, and I love that stone. It was a gift from the spirit world. On one side, it has what looks like a moon, and the other side, what looks like the sun. And when you get it wet, you can see it more clearly. I don't know if you can see there.
Hold it there for a minute. Let me get a chance. There you go.
Yeah.
See it?
And this side. So it's
Look at that turned red.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful stone.
Yeah.
Really. It's a
Very
beautiful,
special.
beautiful, very special. And then this one comes from the Jordan River. And it's a water stone. Water stones have that smooth quality that you were talking about the stones that you found. These in here, so those go in people. These are tools that I use. One of these is a crystal to help move energy.
You have to hold it up for a few minutes and get the camera a chance to get on it.
Yep. This is
There.
a beautiful little piece that I found.
That is beautiful.
I found this in a little shop in Glastonbury, England, and it must have belonged to a healer because it's two-sided, and it has the energy of lifting. So you can help fix chakras with this or remove things from those areas. This one looks like a male part. And this is an extraction tool.
Okay.
So this stone, yep. I know, it's funny. Don't be ashamed. It's okay. So this is an extraction tool, okay, to remove. It's very possible that this stone, which I also found in Peru, might have been a remnant from healers a long time ago, because this is a work stone. This has been worked by someone.
What do you think how do they get away from these people? And people pass down the stones. You say a healer had it. Why would he let it go? What do you mean?
Well, sometimes when you lose something,
Yeah.
okay, maybe you don't need it anymore.
Oh, okay. So you lose. All right.
One of the lessons, and this is very important that you mentioned that. And you had asked before about the healing crisis that some people bring in. So there is, of course, the call to awaken. Something happens. Then there's the knock knock. What's happening here? And then you go into a whole process. You go into sorting through the emotions that are coming through, and then you come to the realization that something needs to change, and then the change comes, and you're holding on one side the judgment of, I'm fat, I was stupid, whatever judgment you have for yourself. And then on the other side, the reward is to also come to the understanding that that judgment, it's only half the story. The other story is your courage and your faith. And when you're able to reconnect with yourself, that judgment goes out the door. And that's when you're able to move from the attachments that you had, whether it's something or a thought or whatever, you're able to move into a more transcendental aspect of the healing, which is to being at peace and in connection with the greater, they call it the morphogenic field, the web of life. And, and from there, then the person, it's better connected and moves forward. But those attachments that we have to things, I don't see the shamans having those attachments at all. A piece comes, a piece goes. It was time to go to someone else.
Okay.
So maybe somebody dropped it. Maybe it belonged to somebody who had died. Sometimes they bring their pieces.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they bring the pieces and they leave them in the mountain. And then somebody stumbles upon them, and then it's their turn to use it.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that a little case for carrying? What is that beaded?
This is something very special.
Oh, okay.
This is my healing bag.
All right.
And this healing bag came to me from my beloved teacher who passed.
You want to hold it up?
Yes.
So they can get a picture. Oh, that's beautiful.
She was beautiful. And so this healing bag has her medicine and my medicine, which are all now my medicine, but her spirit walks with me, kind of. So it's always in my healings. She was a very well-known, world-renowned healer and a loving person all around. The other bag has pieces of a recent initiation that I received in Peru a few months ago. And these pieces now I use them as part of my healing tools.
And that's another word I hear around But I'm not always sure what that means, initiation. What does that mean to you?
Yeah. Well, in the shamanic sense, an initiation is not something that you ask, but something that your teacher bestows upon you when you reach a particular point in your life that they feel that you're ready to move on. And an initiation, it can come in so many different ways. It could be the accident that I had was an initiation. It initiated me into something. Going through a tough spot, it's an initiation. I know that you work with in the pediatric field. When a child that is disabled is born to a family, these children don't come with a manual.
Right.
You're being tested. You're being initiated.
I see.
And it is a long process, sometimes a lifetime of walking in that road and picking the stones that you find out, the treasures that you find along the way. That's an initiation. In the Karo tradition, I was just initiated, and I wasn't expecting that. I went to bring the ashes of my beloved teacher to Machu Picchu, following her request. And I had brought 2 Karos with me because Machu Picchu, of course, it's a very holy sanctuary, and you just don't walk in with somebody's ashes and just bring them over. I wanted the true ancestors and the people to whom that belongs to ask for a blessing. And in the process, because the parent of this woman who passed were Americans, I was translating from English to Spanish, and I had somebody translating from Spanish to Quechua. And in that process, I had to ask the Apu, the mountain that she had requested, to receive her. And that was a very powerful experience for me. I'm sure that other people have had this communion with a lake, with a mountain, with God. But at the end of that week that I was in Peru, the Kara said, we need to do an initiation. And he did it in the form of a despacho.
What is that a picture of?
That's a despacho. And this was the creation that he made to celebrate that initiation. It's a beautiful despacho. It's very intricate, and this went on for hours, and there was a healing with stones and all sorts of things. That's a formal initiation.
So it's a celebration that you've reached a milestone of some sort,
something
in spiritual
like that.
Development or your own development.
Yeah. Now there are people, especially Americans, because we tend to be as a society more impatient and we want things. And one of the things that happens is that a Karo teacher comes and the person says, "I want it's called a karpai. I want a karpai," and that's I'm saying this in humbleness for people to know that you don't ask for that you are given that when you're ready. And sometimes it takes many years. Even themselves, the Karo, spend a whole lifetime before their ancestors say, you can now do this.
I see.
They don't ask for it. So they,
We've got about 5 minutes left.
Yes.
And one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, give us some examples of how energy medicine and allopathic medicine work together. I think our viewers would like to hear that.
Yeah, okay. Well, take, for example, the case of somebody who is depressed. And the person is on medication for the depression. and has spent years and years going to psychotherapy and sitting down to talk about their childhood or talk about what brought on this depression. And that works very well sometimes, and some other times the person is stuck.
Yeah.
The person gets really stuck in this loop that they keep looping and looping and looping over the same issue, and they don't have enough energy to propel them out of the gravity of this pull that they have. So in that sense, energy medicine works really well, and it works in the sense that you're able to combine the person's physicality. You can work the aura, the energy fields. You can work with the intention of the person to move forward. You can help work the blocks. Sometimes the blocks, come back, but over a period of time, the person gains enough awareness of what's happening that then they can put into place a self-care routine that will prevent that. A morbid thought comes to your mind, the person recognizes, this is not who I am, I'm perseverating with this, I need to let this go.
So he sees his therapist and then he sees you, is that what they do? They go back and forth?
They go back and forth.
Okay, what about physical problems? Could you help with that too, on a person?
Say someone...
Work with the doctor,
Yes. Say someone has cancer.
Yeah.
Okay. And the person is going for chemotherapy. I like to see the person before they go to chemotherapy and sort of give the person an opportunity to express their fears, and then to see where they feel the fear, so that we can then just remove it and then make contact with the body and prepare the body for what's coming. And set an intention. I want this medicine to work specifically in this area, and not to have too much of an impact in other areas, or that is one instance. So healing bones, I mean, I'm an expert on that. With my own injury, it takes a long time to get the memories out of a bone.
It is. Unfortunately, we run out of time, and we want to give your contact information out, so we'll have time to do that. So I wanted to say it was wonderful to have you here. So much information. My goodness gracious. So much beauty and everything here. So, okay, to contact Laurie Friedler, it's lauriefriedler@gmail.com. Her phone number is 203-605-2233. Or you can reach her at www.transformationalhealingart.com.
Yes.
Okay, you can catch her next. And then to reach us, we'll give you our contact information.
To learn more about this show or any of our past shows, please contact us at healoutsidethebox@yahoo.com. To reach Rosemary Lachance, her phone number is 203-627-7966, or her website, rosemarylachance.com. Myself, my phone number is 203-804-0024, or my website is theonejoycenterforwellness.com.
We are also on Facebook under Healing Outside the Box. And the quote for tonight is, "Everything is based on mind, is led by mind, is fashioned by mind. If you speak and act with a polluted mind, suffering will follow you, as the wheels of the ox cart follow the footsteps of the ox. Everything is based on mind, is led by mind, is fashioned by mind. If you speak and act with a pure mind, happiness will follow you." And that's from Buddha.
Very nice.
Okay, everybody, we have to say goodnight now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, good night.
Can I reach you? Yes. Thank you so
Great
much.
to meet you.
Fill your thirst beside the river. Wash the journey from your hands. Feel the comfort flow inside you.